राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय। राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री श्री राधा कुंज बिहारी की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, समावेत भक्त वृंद की। जय गौर। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। this morning we are talking on a very relevant topic to the time and a very vital topic. Is God defeated by breaking temples and murtis? The recent past turn of events in Bangladesh, attacks over some 10-15 temples, vandalizing the properties, looting the properties, abusing women, and beating down men, and killing a few people, and burning of the murti of Srila Prabhupada in one of the temples, and also dropping the mural of Durga Mata into a pond. I think there was a billboard or something that was dropped. All these things were done. So it has deeply hurt the sentiments of the Hindus, minorities there. So there is a worldwide talk going on about it. There is a big uproar against the abuse of the minorities, and people's faith and sentiments are being hurt. So therefore, at this junction, it is very important for us to know answer to this question, because this is not a new thing. India had this experience even during the rule of the British and the Mughals before. Even today, when you go to some of the ancient Indian temples, you see the gopurams broken, or walls of the temple broken, or some deity's hand or leg desecrated or broken or something like that. Get to see that. So you find that one religion, Prabhupada says that in Lilamrita we read, like Hindus go to the mosque and they break the mosque and say, we have defeated your God. And Muslims come to Hindu temples, they break the temples and idols and they say, we have defeated your God. Why they do that in the very first place? The reason for doing that is to show might is right. I am more powerful than you. That is one thing. We are in control, not you. That is one thing. Another thing, why they do such a thing, is to cause the deepest pinch and pain possible to the enemy, because that is where they have greatest faith and Shraddha and their sentiments. It is a sign of the greatest hatred. Just like, for example, if a husband loves his wife, he wants to please her by bringing a bunch of flowers. Because when you show a bunch of flowers to a woman, the woman's mind decodes it as sign of affection. Of course, men cannot understand it. How? Imagine if I show you a bunch of flowers on your face. You may not know. You may say, what is this? You may ask. Because man's mind is logical. Left side is active, so you're logical. Woman's mind is, works in a creative fashion. So they feel it like their sentiment of affection when you show that. Similarly, when people have their mosque or church or temple, that is a place where people go and bow down. People worship. They have their faith. They have their sentiments. They have their feelings for God, the master of their life. So people know that this is a place where you put the faith. So you go and destroy the temple or break the hand or leg of the deity. So by that, this enemy feels that, I can show my hatred by exactly hurting the sentiment of people. That is actually the motto, if you see. So in this way, both parties, so Prabhupada saw in Calcutta, it is there in Lilamrita. He saw when the Hindu-Muslim fight came, both the parties fight with each other. Everybody takes weapons. And actually, the government should protect both. Government should protect Muslims, government should protect Hindus, government should protect Christians. They should protect every dharma to practice their own dharma very peacefully. And government has army, air force, navy, and they should have weapons, ideally. And they should bring about law and order in the country. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also we find there was one fellow called Vena. Before Vena came to rule, when there was no proper king available to rule the country. At that time, the rogues and thieves became activated. They started looting the public. They started attacking everywhere, killing people. So that was happening it was rampant everywhere. And all the Brahmanas understood what is the problem, because there is no king in control. Everybody is taking charge in their hands. So then immediately Vena was made the king. And after Vena became the king, all the rogues, thieves, everybody was under control because they were afraid of the king. So, and the whole idea is that sometimes, one religious people attack another. Then other people say that, hey, we also should take weapons. Is it the solution? Then you take weapon, everybody takes weapon. Like in the Western countries, they say that for self-defense, everybody can be given a licensed gun. Imagine in a classroom, if all students have licensed gun, is it the solution? Because the students are not sense-controlled. They can, by a fit of rage or anger, they can take the gun and shoot a friend and later on say sorry. Isn't it? So therefore, ideally speaking, the police, the commandos, they have the guns and all those things. And if any civilian is misbehaving, then they have to take charge and, set right the problem. And, like if somebody is not obeying the traffic police, then, then bigger police will come. If they don't obey that police also, then commandos will come, correct, no? Ultimately, no civilian can oppose the government. Government has to be very powerful. So that is the way it is supposed to be. The Prabhupada saw that Hindu-Muslim fight in Calcutta, what did it lead to? They killed one another in hundreds and thousands of people, and they were all, the dead bodies were put in the lorries together and taken. So Hindu-Muslim bodies were all together only, piled up in the lorries, and they were taken. Prabhupada said, just see, earlier they said, I am a Hindu, you are Muslim. Finally they are put together and taken like this. Is it supposed to be the, life? Is life supposed to be like that? So this is actually a sign of hatred for each other. So now how these things come about, when religion becomes politicized, these things happen. When people become politically minded, they are into a power game. Actually, religion is not for power game. Religion is submission, obedience to God, purification of heart, going back to God. What is religion? There is philosophy, there is religion, two things. In science also there is theory, there is practical. Morning you go to the classroom, you study theory. Afternoon you go to the practical laboratory, where you do practical. So what you study theory is bookish knowledge. And you go to the lab and do the experiment, endpoint experiment, with pipette, burette, everything. Then what you learn theoretically becomes practically understandable. So similarly, philosophy is theory, you study in the books. And then there is religion, which is practical. Like for example, chanting Hare Krishna is practical. Then we also have the symbols of religion, like for example, we wear tilak, Christians may wear a cross, Muslims may wear a topi and a beard. Everybody has a certain kind of symbol, external symbol, which is practiced by them, and also a certain way of expressing our affection to God. We have Panchanga Pranam, Ashtanga Pranam, correct now? In different religions they have. In some countries in Igbo, they do like this. You've seen that? You may say, why only one hand? What about other hand? That is their way of showing respect. Correct, no? Yeah, different religions have different kinds of methods of saying. But one thing, that they have some method of showing respect and affection, correct, no? Like that. So these externals may be different. Therefore, Prabhupada distinguished between material religion and spiritual religion. What is material religion? He says, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian. This is material, Prabhupada says. Why? Because you find that sometimes people claiming to be in one religion, they change to another. Like in India, at one time, Buddhism became very prominent. During whose time? Ashoka's time, isn't it? Then everybody became Buddhists. Hindus also became Buddhists. At another time, Mughals were ruling. Taxes were heavy. So Hindus thought we can't pay so much tax. So they agreed to become Mughals. You see that. Similarly, sometimes you find certain religious people, they have a lot of money, they have facilities. So when they're ready to provide facilities, so somebody from one religion gets converted into another. So this is called material religion, means you leave one religion and change to another. Therefore, this is not actual dharma. This is superficial dharma. But real dharma is what? Real dharma is actually called as spirituality, the love of God. Actually, real dharma means to love and serve God. That is the prerogative of everybody. You will see that. It's not only humans, even animals. A tiger also loves the cubs. A tiger also takes care of the cubs. You will see that. This dharma of loving and serving is there in all, wherever there is Chetan, Vastu, there you will see love and service. You will naturally see that. One time, scientists made one experiment. There was one mother and father rat and the son rat also. So the son rat was attracted to the food because the fragrance was coming. So parents told him, hey, don't go out. It's dangerous. People have already come for eating. After they finish and go, we can take some crumbs. But he was too eager. So he ran out and they bit him and he died. So the mother and father rat were embracing one another and weeping. So they took a video of that. So they said even rats have emotion when their child is lost. So they express love. They also have lamentation. They also have love and service. You can see that in animals. And there are many videos you will see expressing love and service. You will see, because wherever there is life, there is love and service. You will see. Therefore, real dharma is what? To love and serve. But love and serve whom? Initially, you love and serve your parents. Then love and serve your brothers, sisters. Then love and serve your caste people. Then love and serve your state people. And some people think, our religion is the best religion. You think you can't see beyond that. That is a narrow-mindedness. Then your love expands to people of other religions also. Then you may say, in India, whoever is there, they are the best people. Mera Bharat Mahan, you may say that. And then it expands further to, all people, all countries. When you travel to other countries, you see there are good human beings in every country. Correct? Then your love expands to all humans. But some people love all humans, but they don't love the goats or the cows or the chicken whom they kill. Therefore, when one loves God, then one loves all. Then love spreads to everybody ultimately. And that is ever-expanding love. How is love ever-expanding? Initially you may say, I just love. And then you may also, your love may take the shape of service. You may actually want to serve all living beings, please all living beings, satisfy all living beings and not hurt them. That way the love becomes all-encompassing. You will see that. Now, on the other hand, hatred is just the opposite of love. You will see. When you have love for somebody, you always think how I can please somebody, how I can satisfy somebody, how I can exceed their expectation, like that. Like, one sannyasi was very fond of carrot juice, So one devotee was serving him. So he gave Maharaj carrot juice, a glass full of carrot juice. So 1 year later when that Maharaja came, this this devotee kept a big bottle of carrot juice in the room even before Maharaj entered the room. So why he did that? To please him. Because he knows he likes this. If I keep this, he will drink it, he will like it. So you meditate on how to please others. Similarly, hatred means you meditate on how to hurt others. That is just the opposite. You have faith here, your affection here, we will hurt you. How we will torture you, trouble you, pain you, and hate you. This is actually, this is animal. It's not even animal. It's worse than animal. Why we sometimes say animal? Because animals appear to be hurting one another, like tiger chases after a deer. So we say animal, but actually the animals only pounce upon another animal when they have to eat, when they are hungry. Once their hunger is satiated, they will not do that. You will see that. The animals also follow very proper laws. Like you see, the tiger will eat flesh but never eat grass. You see that? You will see that? Yeah. Like cows will eat grass but they will never eat flesh. Cow will die but never eat flesh at all. Human want to eat both. But eat grass also, flesh also, you'll see that. So, therefore the animals are following what is given by God for them, what is ordained for them. But as far as religion is concerned, actually what is God's teaching? According to God's teaching, you have the right to defend your religious practices. And sometimes in order to defend your religious practice, you may have to hurt others, those who are stopping you from practicing. Correct, no? For example, you may generally not beat anybody. But if somebody takes a big stick and beats on your head, then you may also have to take another stick to defend yourself. Correct, no? Similarly, if somebody tells you, you cannot, bow down to God, you cannot chant God's name, then you have to defend yourself. Sometimes that kind of defense is practiced, but not to hurt others with hatred. So, but we are seeing that when people become politically minded, somebody thinks that this country is only for us. This area is only for us. Hum jiyo tum maro. That kind of thing. Actually, children also do that sometimes. Because you've seen that, no? I want this toy, this toy, this toy. And all of the children say, what about us? He says, you all get lost. Correct, no? The same mentality. Whether you have animals, whether you have children, whether you have grown-ups. It's basically greed. Correct, no? Like I heard a story. There was a tree, big banyan tree with a vast shade. And one man came and lay down at the root of the tree. And he was very peaceful. It was a hot, sunny day. So one dog also was wanting some shade. Poor dog was wandering in the road, very hot, sunny day. So it wanted some shade. So it came and sat in the shade of the tree. Immediately the fellow picked up a stone to drive away the dog. So the banyan tree told him, see, I am giving you shade. I am giving him shade. What's your problem? Why should you take a stone and pelt him and drive him away? Are you giving shade? You are actually sharing the shade. He is taking, you are taking. He will come and sit peacefully, you sit peacefully. Both of you can take the shade. In the same manner, the whole world belongs to God. If you agree that whole world belongs to God, then this place is for all God's children. Is it not true? Is it only for you or only for me? No, everybody has the right to share. Everybody has the right to share the food. Everybody has the right to share the water. Everybody has the right to share the place. Correct, no? Everybody can stay. But if you hate others, then you may think that we will live and they will perish. That kind of idea. And in order to express their hatred, people do this kind of harsh activities by which they think we have subdued others and we have conquered over them. This is nothing to do with religion. It is far, far from religion. It is simply exhibition of political power. That's all. You will see, just like you see here is a clock which shows the time. Now if somebody breaks the clock like this, will time stop moving? Will time stop? Clock will show, because you've broken me, now no more time in this world. Time stops. Will the clock say like that? In the same manner, see, clock represents time. It's not that by breaking the stick of the clock or breaking the clock, you can stop the time from moving. You are a fool if you think like that. If you think, now I have broken the clock, now I don't have to worry to go to college because time has stopped now. Now college starts at 9, now it is already 8:30 only. So today I don't have to go to college because I stopped the time now. If somebody thinks he's a fool number one, isn't it? Similarly, you will see that what is the Murti. Therefore today we are going to understand about the Murti properly. The Murti in the temples. Whether it is Acharya's Murti or it is the Murti of God which we worship. Actually, by keeping the Murti of God in the same manner that He eternally exists, it is a kind of, you have made a portrait of God and you worship Him with sentiment, with faith, with devotion. And you are evoking the devotion by worshipping in that manner. Because you see that when you, for example, every picture that you see, it evokes certain emotions in you. Imagine, for example, somebody has drawn a picture of a beggar. He has a lot of hair, mustache, beard, and he has a very sad face. He has got a begging book. Like that he is keeping a face. When you see that picture, immediately what emotion comes? Compassion. You feel, hey, beggar, please take this coin. Don't be so sad. You want to pacify his sadness by giving a coin. You have seen in the road sometimes, the lady comes with a baby or something, she is begging. Correct, no? You think it's a little tender child, she has nothing to feed. Okay, take this coin, you give. So when you see a picture, it evokes some emotion, yeah. Similarly, for example, if somebody has drawn a picture of a boy, boy and girl embracing, kissing, you see that picture. As soon as you see that picture, what emotion is awakened? Passion. Lust is awakened. You will see that. That means pictures have the ability to evoke emotions. Same with murtis also. For example, if you have a murti of Krishna, immediately you get the emotion of, oh, Krishna, where does Krishna stay? Stays in Vrindavan. What does he play? He plays on his flute. What are his very dear animals? The cows and calves. Yeah. And what does Krishna do in Vrindavan? He plays pranks with Yashoda. He plays pranks with his covered boys. So all those remembrances come. And those remembrances actually awaken divine feelings in your heart. And then you can consider Krishna's kindness. Who is a bhavagrahi. He goes to the home of Vidura, and his Vidurani is offering him banana peel forgetfully. Because while talking forgetfully, she's offering him banana peel and throwing away bananas, and he's accepting. Because it is offered with love. Therefore we sing, Duryodan ke bhog na khayo, ruk sak vidur ghar kayo, aise prem pujari radhe, sham, sham, sham. Correct, no? So he's a prem pujari. So all these pastimes fly in your mind when you see the murti. When you see, Krishna taking that one piece of grain from the Akshay Patra, when he put in the mouth, then all the Durvasa Muni and thousands of disciples, their bellies became bloating. So they were supposed to come. Pandavas had nothing to serve them, no prasad, but they all ran in the opposite direction. So we hear these pastimes. So when you saw the murti form of the Lord, these pastimes come to your mind. So the Shastras talk about, there is a prescription about, you can make the murti of God with material elements. There are 8 material elements like metals or stone, or wood or sand, like that. And one of them is also in the mind also. Mind is one of the 8 elements also. And in all these elements, the deity form is made. What is the purpose of making the deity form? According to the way the Lord looks in the spiritual world, because by making the deity form, just as I told you now, to evoke the emotions. Now if you evoke lusty emotion and do some wrong thing, you'll be behind the bars. Correct, no? Isn't it? But if you give charity to a beggar, feeling compassion for him, then it goes into your punya account. You get some punya by that, sukriti. And if you are seeing the murti of Krishna, Rama, some acharya, if you see that, and some devotional feelings are awakened, and then you become aligned with God and religion, then by that what happens? You gradually purify your heart and go back to God. For that purpose, the murti is kept. Is it not true? Like you see another picture here. You can see here, people saluting the national flag. Now, as soon as you see this flag, what comes to your mind? Country. It comes to mind. By the flag, you know which country flag it is, correct, no? America has a certain color flag. India has a certain flag. That means the flag of a country represents the whole country. To such a degree that even the Prime Minister salutes the flag, and all the citizens salute the flag. And all the students in the schools, not only they salute the flag, they keep their hand like this and take a pledge. They take an oath. Not only that, they also sing an anthem, national anthem, in praise of the flag. Correct? No? Imagine if somebody says, "Arey, this is just a cloth flapping like this. Why do you give respect to it?" Then that is considered disrespect. At the end of the class, I will show you there are more than 15, 20 policies of Indian government about how, if you treat the flag respectfully or disrespectfully, what will be the result. I will show you that. So that means, you may say it's a piece of cloth, but if you disrespect it, there are punishments also. You will see that. You will say, no, I just dealt with the cloth only, you may say. No, sir, this cloth is not ordinary cloth. It represents the whole country. Similarly, the murti form of Acharya, or the murti form of the Lord, for example, as soon as people see that, they know this is not ordinary. It may be ultimately representing that Supreme Lord. But what is a Supreme Lord? Sometimes certain religious people say, "Arey, God is impersonal, then why you people are making these murtis? And therefore we are breaking it." Like that, some people may say like that. So they call the word, there's a word called anthropomorphism, we call it. What is anthropomorphism? That means making God into a human. They say that, God is so great, so powerful, so mighty, don't give him a shape like you and me, and make him ordinary. So therefore they are against it. Like for example, in Bible, you hear about Jesus when he preached to certain people, and then when he went out of station somewhere and came back, he saw people had more than 50, 60 different murtis of different objects made. Like one of that was golden calf, they call it, which people are worshipping. They were making certain human into God and worshipping. They were making some calf, some tree, different things they were worshipping. And different people were worshipping different things also. So Jesus became very annoyed. So that's a statement in Bible. Do not worship graven images. You will find. It is said in the Bible. So God is great, but don't make concocted idols on your own and worship, because then all over the world people will be worshipping different things and the whole thing will become diluted and nobody will understand who is God ultimately. So God is addressed by the name Adhokshaja. That's in Sanskrit. Adhokshaja means what? Adha means to push. Aksha means eyes. Ja means born. That which is born of our eyes, that one who pushes it down and exists beyond that is called God. What is the meaning of that? What is born of our eyes means all material elements in this world. Correct, no? Anything material you can see. Anything spiritual can you see? For example, if somebody's father died. My son is crying. You tell the son, hey, your father is right here. The body of the father. But still he is crying. No. My father has gone away. Where has gone away? He's here. Body is here. That means some spirit in the body of the father has left the body of the father. Correct, no? The soul has left. So was the son able to see the father's soul before? Even while he was living? No. Was the father able to see the soul of the son before? No. That means we all are not seeing the soul of each other. We are only seeing the external bodies. But if somebody can understand this philosophy, that this body cannot function without the presence of soul. Soul is the driver of this body. Like sometimes a dog sees a sumo coming and runs with the sumo. Like you've seen the dog running? Because the sumo, he thinks another big animal. He thinks. He doesn't see inside the sumo there is a driver. Yeah, there is a driver. He doesn't see the driver. He just sees only the sumo. He thinks, I am the dog and the sumo is another bigger dog, now I have to fight. He thinks like that. So foolish people see only the external body. They don't see the soul. But there's the soul. So therefore, the actual God is Adhokshaja. He is spirit. He is not matter. So that spirit God, nobody can attack him. Nobody can kill him. But God, although he is spirit, he comes in his own self-same spiritual form when he comes in this world. As Krishna, as Rama, as Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha. Now you may ask, how can the spirit be seen? Now we are not able to see God in spiritual form. How we can see? It is his kindness that when he comes 5,000 years ago, when he came, he appears in his self-same spiritual form, but he allows our eyes to see him. That is his kindness. But many people did not see him in a proper way. They thought of him to be ordinary human being. Therefore in 9.11 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Avajananti Mam Mudha. He says like that. But only Pandavas could see him. Prahlad could see Lord Narsimha is God. Pandavas could see Krishna is God. They could see that with proper eyes. Bhishma could see. Great souls, devotees could see. Others saw him, but they thought of him to be ordinary. They didn't know. Although God showed activities which ordinarily nobody can do. See, why is he called Adhokshaja? Although his form looks like yours and mine, it is, even Shastra say, Apani Pado Javano Grahita Pashyati Achakshuhu. Like that it says. It says that Apani Pada means, God's hand is not like your hand or my hand. God's leg is not like your leg or my leg. For example, we all have legs now. If I have to go from this wall to that wall, I have to take 10 steps. But how is God's leg? He comes like a Vamandev. In one step, in 2 steps only, he measures the whole universe. That is his legs. Correct, no? So his legs are like our legs or not like our legs? Not like our legs. Because can any of you measure the whole universe in 2 steps? Only God can do. Similarly, for example, one of you boys here, you are calling another boy. You are speaking like this. Another boy has gone to the study room. Can he hear you? And you are talking about him only. Can he hear? He cannot hear. But you say, God can hear in spiritual world what you are speaking. And that is the power of his ears. Therefore, his ear is like our ear or not? No. It's different type of ears. Like look at our eyes. We cannot even take a glass of water and simply burn it by looking at it. Whereas Lord Ramachandra looks at the ocean and the whole ocean is boiling. When the ocean didn't give way for Rama to go, and Lord Rama looked angrily at the ocean. The whole ocean started boiling and all the aquatics are all trembling. Samudra Devata came running. He fell at the feet of Rama and said, "Oh Lord, you are doing Martya Leela now, you are doing human pastimes. Therefore I didn't give way. I know you are the Lord. If you want me to give the way, I will give way. Because if ordinary human tells the ocean give way, will the ocean give way? Because you are acting like human, I was not giving way. Now if you want to act like God, you tell me I will give way. Please don't boil all my ocean water. All aquatics will die." And Lord Rama smiled and said, "Don't worry, go back. Now I will not boil the water anymore. I'll cool it down now." Cool it. But see the power of his? So is his eye like your eye or my eye? No. That's the point. His eyes, his legs, his hands. In this world, is there a man who can beget a child without the help of a woman? Every man has to unite with a woman and then only the child comes. Whereas when Lord wants to create a child, he produces a lotus from his navel. Like that comes. And immediately, it's producing Brahma. That is his Achintya Shakti. Therefore, when God produces children in this world, people like, Lord Vishnu is looking at the spiritual world, glancing at the spiritual world, Sa Aikshata, and picking up all the spirit souls who are rebellious, who want to be independent. And Sa Asrijata, he puts them into the material creation, into the Durga's womb. So is there any man who can, look there and immediately can beget a child, looking at a woman? Nobody can do. Therefore, God has a form, we have a form, but his form is not like ours. His form totally behaves differently. Therefore, it's called Adokshaja. So he is not conceivable by ordinary senses. We just cannot understand how he can do all these things. It is inconceivable. Like that Brahmin and cobbler story we say, the cobbler said, inside a small seed, he has put the whole banyan tree. Just see how powerful he is. And not just one seed. He has created millions of seeds of millions of species, correct, no? So, therefore, but if you have to understand that God in that beautiful form, who cannot be seen with our mundane eyes, who is spiritual in nature, how can we see him? Therefore, we make a murti of that God. We can paint his, a form, or we can make the murti out of a stone or a wood, or metal, or paint. All these things can be used to make his deity, and that is actually taught in the scriptures. Because when you have the form of God in front of your eyes, it is materially observable for you. So the deity form is called as a spiritual form of the Lord, which is visible to the material eyes. So for us it is material. When we think it's material, but actually the form has the ability to behave spiritually. Because why? There is a reason for that. Ultimately, everything, therefore one has to go to Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra has the answer for this. Vedanta Sutra says this, that in this world, everything, what that was? Imani Bhutani Jayante. What that was beginning? Imani Bhutani Jayante means all the creation has sprung from one supreme truth. Same thing is said in Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasya yataha. So one has to know that this mic, this is God. This laptop, it is God. This kartal is God. This chair is God. And all the material elements in my material body, Panchamahabhut, that is all God only. It is coming from God, therefore it is God. Even the spirit souls are part and parcels of God. Because they have come from God, they are also God. Prabhupada writes in one purport, you will see. You read this verse, what do you call it? Mata Data Pitamaha. There's one verse, where Krishna talks about, there if you read the purport, you may think it's Mayavad, you may think it's not Mayavad. Ultimately, everything is God, but everything is a part and parcel of God. You will see that. Like in a tree, you can say, the flower is a part of the tree, so it's also a tree. Like the twig, like the leaves, like the branches, Ultimately, every part of the tree is ultimately a part of the tree only. Similarly, everything has come from God. So, a person who can realize this Vedanta Sutra statement, he doesn't have to go to temple to worship the Murti. He can see God everywhere, like that. But because we don't have that type of realization, we have to go to the temple and worship a Murti. Therefore, the Murti or puja is actually for the neophytes purposes. Neophytes means those who are not very advanced in religion. For that, he says that. Like there is a verse which says, Archayameva haraye shraddham pujayehate atat bhaktishcha anyeshu sabhakta prakrita smataha. So for prakrita bhaktas, the Murti puja is very, very important. It is kept. Because what they think, in the temple hall, they will say, shh, hey, don't tell lies. God is watching. They will say. Now you just go outside the temple. Can you speak lies there? Because God is not watching. God is everywhere. God is in every atom. He is present in every atom. He is also in your heart. But they cannot see that. They cannot see God is in our heart. God is in every atom. When they go to temple, they think, here we should not speak lies. Bhagavan ke samne, we should not. Similarly, they think they go with the purse and take out the purse. One big fat man came to a temple, in a big car, crorepati. Took out his purse and put 1 rupee coin. Oh God, that is for you. And this purse is for me. And he went back. So they think that, this money I am giving to God and the balance money is me. But realized devotees know that, the Lakpati, Karodapati, Arapati, Karapati, everybody's Lakshmi ultimately belongs to whom? God. Because God is which Pati? Lakshmipati. So he knows that nothing belongs to me. In fact, everything belongs to him. I am taking from him. Not that I am giving him. But in the temple, when the Murti is kept, people go, at least they will start giving little bit to God. Therefore, the Murti Puja is done. If Murti Puja is not kept, some people say that, God is everywhere. What is the need of a temple? Why do people worship Murti, they say. Actually, they simply say with the lips, but they have no realization. They say God is everywhere. Can you see God everywhere? Can you, like you want drinking water in a glass. I say, no, there's water vapor everywhere, drink it. You can't drink it. Yeah, you need water in a glass. Then tangibly you can realize. There is also water in the clouds. There is also water underground water also. Correct, no? You can't drink that water. When you give in a glass, you can drink it. Therefore, the Murti is kept. Because it's easily realizable. This is how God exists. Eternally. You see his form. Just as I told you, when you see a picture, like Prabhupada went to one rich man, he was asking, Swamiji, can you show me God? He asked. So Prabhupada showed the Krishna's altar. He said, no, not Swamiji, I'm not talking about this Murti. Actual God, Actual God, Krishna, have you seen and can you show me? So then Prabhupada saw on the wall, this man had put his own picture. Rich people sometimes put their own picture also on the walls. He had put. So Prabhupada asked, who is that fellow? He said, Swamiji, that's me, he was telling. So he said, no, but that is just a paper. Prabhupada said, imagine if somebody takes that paper and tears it, will you be happy? He said, no, certainly not. Because, you consider that to be yours. Actually, sometimes our grandmother, grandfather passes away, we keep their photo. Correct, now as memories. So when you see the photo, you remember all the interactions you had with them. Sometimes you may cry tears also. Sometimes you fondly remember that, isn't it? Because you see them in that photo. Correct or not? Isn't it? Yeah. But in the absolute sense, if you see, they are not there. Because they have already left the body and gone to another body. But when it comes to God, you take a picture of God, God is there in the picture. How can any of you say? Yeah? His omnipotency is saying. Okay? Omnipotent means all powerful. Omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. God is, that's the three things. Correct? Omnipotent means he is Ekastha Mahata Srishtir. He creates billions of universes. That is who? Mahavishnu. That's omnipotent. And omnipresent means Garbhodaksha Vishnu, one who occupies every universe. He is present in every atom, every universe. Take any universe, he is present there. And omniscient means super soul. Omniscient means what? All knowing. Why? He is present in every heart of every living being. And he is also present in every atom also. So because he is in every atom, if you take a painting or a paper, in that paper there are many atoms. In each atom he is present, agreed or not? Now you make a murti now of God with wood or with stone or with metal. In every atom, inside, it's made up of atoms only. Correct, no? In each atom, God is there or not? Then how can you say God is not in the temple? If somebody says God is everywhere, no need to go to temple. In temple, in the Murti's body also, if you take million atoms, in each of the atoms is present. Correct, no? So in this way, there is no place where God is not present. He is actually everywhere, in every... Therefore, it is said, God's eyes are everywhere. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita which says that. It says, Sarvata panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiro mukham sarvata shutiman loke sarvam avritya tishtati. Sarvata pani means his hands are everywhere. His legs are everywhere. And sarvatokshi, his eyes are everywhere. Not only his eyes are everywhere, again the same point, his eyes are different than ours. How? Because his eyes never blink. Our eyes keep blinking every now and then. It is said, Chakshur yasya na rishyati. It's said in Srimad Bhagavatam. His eyes never blink. That means his eyes are everywhere also and never blinks also. Can anybody escape him? Is it possible? Like for example, you kept your mobile here. Your eyes were blinking and thief stole it away. Correct, no? Because you close your eyes for a moment. But God's eyes never closes. So nobody can do anything without his knowledge. Everybody is watching everybody everywhere. And somebody says, I will go to a secret place. And no, there's no secret place. He is present everywhere. Therefore, the Vedanta Sutra understanding of God is very, very important. Why in Jnana Yoga, why Lord Krishna speaks Jnana Yoga between the chapter 13 to 18 in Bhagavad Gita, and why Jnana Yoga is given in Uddhava Gita, between the canto 11 and 12 in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why Krishna emphasizes on Jnana? Because Jnana, the philosophy, gives you the right eyes to see the world, the spiritual outlook. And then with spiritual outlook, if you add bhakti, then it becomes very, very powerful. Otherwise, those who are having sentimental bhakti, when they hear about somebody breaking the hand of the murti, leg of the murti, they get doubts and they give up bhakti and go away. Because they can't understand the actual meaning of God. Far from breaking the deity of God, you don't know God is right in your heart. And you cannot raise your hand without his permission also. What are you talking about breaking deity of God? It's just utter foolishness it is. So, it's like, you have the flag here in the picture you see. You go and tear this flag, you'll be behind the bars. Similarly, nobody can escape the punishment of God. Because one boy was telling Prabhupada that, Swamiji, I can break the traffic rule. Who can stop me? He said. Prabhupada said, yes, you can break, but you cannot escape the punishment. Somebody said, I can smoke cigarette, who can stop me? Nobody. Of course, you can smoke cigarette, but you can't escape the consequences of smoking a cigarette. Correct, no? So, in the same manner, the Murti of God in this world manifests. What for? Not to show his supremacy. He is manifesting himself in this world for accepting service. Like this flag here, is it existing to show the supremacy of the country? See, supremacy of flag is flying now. Of course, somebody can climb up the flag and tear it if they want. Immediately, the flag is not going to respond. But very soon, the response will come from the government. Correct now? Because the flag is not existing to show the supremacy of the country. It is actually a symbol of the country, which all people can respect. Correct now? Same with the clock. Is the clock existing to show the supremacy of the time? Clock is indicating time. Correct, no? It is not showing the supremacy. You may break the clock, but that doesn't stop the time. Krishna says, Kalosmyaham. I am. Actually, even the atheistic fellows, fools and rogues and rascals, everybody, their body is irreversibly changing from young age to old age. And old age, they are losing their tooth, they are losing their hair, their bodies are getting wrinkles, and they are helplessly dying, and they are dragged to the graveyard and burnt to ashes. Even the atheistic people. And they may talk against God, they have no power to stop time. Therefore it is said, the time turns jet black hair into white hair. It turns the clean faces into wrinkled faces. It makes the 32 teeth, 1 out, 2 out, all out. Isn't it? Yeah. It ejects all the living entities out of the sense gratification program. And it drives them to the graveyard where they are burnt to ashes. This is the power of time. And Arjuna was given the darshana power of time by God. That is real God. Krishna says, Kalosmi aham. He's saying, although he is so mighty, so powerful, and why he is not like us? He is unlike us. Why? Because he is Sahasra Shirsha. He has thousands of heads, thousands of hands, thousands of legs, thousands of bellies. Arjuna could not find where is his body beginning, where is it ending? Where can I offer obeisances? He was offering obeisance in all directions when he saw the form. So Krishna showed his mighty form, if he wants to. But at the same time, why he shows human form? That human-like form is not for the non-devotees, it is for the devotees. Because when a great personality performs very simple actions, he becomes very endearing. Like one time our Prime Minister of India, he was doing yoga. They made a video and that went viral. What is so great about doing yoga? Even you and I may do yoga every day. What is so great about it? But when Prime Minister does it, that is something special, isn't it? Like in our Pune temple, we had a temple opening by our President of India, Pranab Mukherjee. So one small boy was telling, Prabhuji, what is so great about it? I can also cut ribbon. Why people are clapping hands when he cuts ribbon and taking so many photos, staff reporters are coming, click, 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 everybody is clicking photo. When I am cutting a ribbon, why nobody is clicking? The difference is what? You are a kid, small kid, and he is the President of India, isn't it? Similarly, when God comes in this world and he steals butter, that is very special. Because everything belongs to him. All butter in the world belongs to him. But when he steals butter, he becomes endearing to the gopis, isn't it? Imagine if a thief says, I am also pickpocketing. Why don't you write some glorification about me? He will be taken to the police station and they will remove the belt and whip him for that act. So, therefore, we should know who is doing the action. When God is doing this action, he becomes glorified. His actions are not ordinary because everything belongs to him. So, first have a broad, great understanding of God and then come to the understanding of the Murti of God. See, God is spirit. But as Krishna reveals in the Bhagavad Gita, matter is also his energy. See, spirit is his energy, matter is his energy. We have Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti. Antaranga Shakti is spiritual and the Bahiranga Shakti is material in this world. But so God can manifest in his spiritual form as he comes in this world, Krishna. And he also manifests himself in the material form as the Murti. He can. Why not? For example, if you see the electricity, inside the fridge, the same electricity makes ice. Correct, no? Now, outside the fridge, the same electricity is producing heat in a heat pump. Do you call it as a hot electricity, cold electricity? Electricity is electricity. It is one energy only, but it can act differently in two different ways. It can heat or it can heat something, it can cool something. Correct. Now, similarly, God also, he manifests in spiritual world in spiritual form. In the material world, he can come as the Murti with 8 elements. Like, for example, I told you, marble or wood or other things. He can manifest through that. All of you think for a moment, say, these mobile people sitting in one control room, they are controlling crores of mobiles. Correct, no? How many of you have experienced that your payment you made got over and they are telling you, if you don't payment, the facility will be cut. They say or not? And then when you go and keep on paying, finally the facility is cut. And this is controlled by one fellow. Just sitting, hundreds and thousands of mobiles is controlling, sitting in one room. Cut, cut, cut. For some people is cutting, for some people is facilitating. Correct, no? Like you also know nowadays, the Microsoft, for example, they have, if somebody is using pirated software, then they'll be in trouble. Correct, no? And there are fines and everything, isn't it? And they also keep updating. Correct? And they keep announcing. And you have to pay more and more money also to get. Correct, no? And these fellows are doing it for how many? 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or 1,000, how much? Millions. If these guys can control millions of people's laptops, millions of people's computers, and the man can do such a thing, is it difficult for God to stay in the spiritual world and then manifest himself in all the deity forms in whichever temple the Murtis are worshipped? Is it difficult for him? Poor God. He can't do this. He can do this in million universes. He is a creator of million universes. Why can't he do this? So, Krishna can be in Goloka. Goloka Nivasati. Akilatma Bhuto. He can be in spiritual world, but he can also be in every atom in the material world. It's very easy that he can manifest through the deity. For example, you are going to one temple, Krishna temple, and you're bowing down. God, even from the spiritual world, can see that this Jiva is coming to my temple. He's coming and bowing down. He's praying for my mercy. And he can manifest his mercy through the deity form. It's possible. So, just like, for example, the government has made a currency note. They may take the same paper and print a newspaper. They can take the same paper and print a currency note. So if a child is seeing both the currency note and the papers, he may not twist and turn and then put in the mouth or throw it here and there. He doesn't know the difference. Foolish child, correct? No. Similarly, foolish people may think that we may desecrate a murti and then that the murti is gone or something like that. But those who are intelligent people know the difference between the two. The currency note is authorized by the government as a valuable rupees. So you will keep that in your pocket. But after reading newspaper, you will put that in the raddi. That is useless. That doesn't carry much value. Somebody may say, newspaper is so big, why don't you keep it? No, it has no value. Currency note may be small note, but you know the value. Because authorized by the government. Similarly, the murtis that we make should not be whimsically made. That's what Jesus said. Don't make graven images on your own. Any kind of murti and worship. Sometimes you find people foolishly, under a tree, some man wants to make money. So he puts on stone and puts on kungu chandan. And he'll put one garland there. And then he'll keep one hundi there. And then people see, and then they start putting some money in that. And the fellow regularly comes once in a week to collect money. And then people start circumambulating the tree also. And they'll put some garland in the tree also. So this is called superstition. So this kind of superstition was what was condemned by Jesus. Because the person, does he have any knowledge of whom is he worshipping? Whereas in our Krishna consciousness movement, what to speak of knowledge of the person we are worshipping? He is our pran. He is our very life itself. We will give our every drop of blood for him. We will give every drop of sweat for him. We will give our 24/7 our energy for him. And he is our be all and end all. And we know for sure there is no one equal to him or higher than him. In fact, when we talk about Allah, for example, La ilaha illallah means what? There is no one equal to him or greater than him. Same thing Krishna says, Matta parataram nanyat. There is no truth superior to me. Same thing Jehovah also says. If you read the Old Testament, he says that there is no one equal to me or superior to me. So therefore you understand, there is only one capital GOD. There may be many small GODs. There are 33 koti small GODs. Devatas we call. But there is only one capital G-O-D, and that is God. You call him Allah, you call him Jehovah, you call him, Krishna, Rama, any name. There's only one supreme. So, in that sense, there is no clash for that one God. Even any man with little common sense will understand. Do you think there are some few gods fighting at the top for who will get elected? In a country, you may have some ministers getting elected every 5 years. They may be dethroned or whatever. Another person may come. When it comes to God, there is no question of anybody occupying his position other than himself. He is a supreme. He is a mother, he is a father, he is a brother, he is a sister, he is everything, and he is a be all and end all for everybody. So therefore, if that God feels that these poor jivas have ordinary eyes and they can't see my spiritual form, so he can come in murti form. Therefore he appears in murti form. He is a spiritual form of the Lord, visible to our material eye, so that we can serve him and awaken love for him. So why does Lord come in murti form? So that he can receive our service. He can receive our affection. He can receive our prayers. He can receive the pradakshinas that we give him and the chanting we do for him. So he receives, but when he is receiving it through this medium, just like a post office puts the postal boxes everywhere, in the town, the red color box, and then it is written also, post box is written, so you know it. So people know that if I put my, post like a card, in those days we used to have an inland card or a postal card. You put it there, then at a certain time of the day, some postman will come from the post office and pick it up, correct, no? And then it reaches your friend and your friend also will reply. So everybody knows this postal box, why does it come? Why is it kept? If somebody says, I will take a cricket bat and hit the postal box, actually, of course, if you create a dent in that or you break it or something, the post office will take offense, correct? Now they will come and very soon, deal with you, correct? Now for doing that. But the point is, the post box is existing only for one purpose, to receive the post and letters from you and everything and reach it, correct? No? And then you may get a response back from the post office later on. So Prabhupada gives this example. In the same manner, the deity form of the Lord is meant for receiving our services and receiving our affection and worship. And he reciprocates with that affection from God. And this type of worship of deity makes it easy for even conditioned souls. Even a child can dance in front of the deity. Even a child can offer obeisances in front of the deity. But one very important thing we should know, that a newcomer to the Krishna consciousness may see the deity with a Jada Buddhi, we call it. Like in Mayapur, there is Radha Madhava with Ashtasakis, beautiful deities. So some newcomers come and say, hey, very, very beautiful dolls. They think like that. They see them like dolls, very beautiful, Krishna and the Gopi dolls. They think like that. This is a newcomer that sees with Jada Buddhi. Jada Buddhi means, see, those people will also see, I am a man, she's a woman, she's attractive, I can enjoy her, because Jada Buddhi. Jada Buddhi means you see the superficial bodies. They can't see Pandita Samadarshana. They can't see the spirit soul. Actually, if you can see spirit souls in everybody, you are far more elevated than a person who sees only the superficial bodies, thinking I am man, she is woman, I am black, he is white, I am Indian, he is American, I am Hindu, he is Muslim, he is Christian, he is Jain, thinking like that, superficially seeing the body. Spirit souls are all one in quality. Correct, no? So when you go beyond the Jada Buddhi, there is a Manomaya Buddhi, which is a more advanced stage, where a person actually can meditate on the Lord's form in his mind, even before seeing the deity form. That means the deities have entered his mind. That is also not very easy, unless you have a great affection. Like you see, the child occupies the mother's mind, and the mother occupies the child's mind. Because of what? Because of love. Because of love. Like your mother, for example, can think of your form effortlessly, even in your absence. Correct, no? Similarly, you also can think of your mother or father's form in your mind effortlessly, even when they are. For example, you are calling your mother or father on phone. When they talk, when you hear their voice, how many of you immediately see their form in your mind? Correct? When you hear that means it's called voice print, we call it. Everybody has a certain type of voice. When you hear that voice, like Prabhupada's voice, you hear immediately, you get Prabhupada's form. Mind correct, no? Similarly, when somebody hears Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's words, immediately they see Krishna's form, sitting on the chariot as a Partha Sarathi, driving the chariot of Arjuna. Isn't it? Similarly, that is about the sound. In the same manner, the form also. When you see the Murti form of the Lord, immediately you are reminded of the Lord's form. So that is Manomaya, means even in your mind you can remember if you have love. Then beyond that, there is a Chinmaya Drishti, which is Chinmaya Drishti means you see with spiritual eyes. What is the spiritual eyes? Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shyama sundarama chintya guna swarupam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Is Adi Purusha, Lord Krishna. And I bow down to him. Prema Anjana Charita means those devotees of God who see him with eyes tinged with salve of love. He says, ointment of love. Those who see him, he immediately enters their eyes and occupies their heart. And he resides in their heart always. So when they come to temple and see the deity form of the Lord, they fall in love with him. When they go back, the Lord occupies their heart. Even when he comes in their dreams, he keeps reminding them, and they see him as a spiritual form. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Pratima tu minahi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. He says, you are not a murti, my Lord. You look like a murti for other people. For me, you are sakshat Brajendra Nandan. He's seeing him as sakshat Krishna. And those who can see him with spiritual eyes, to them Lord will speak. Lord will speak to them. They can speak to him. There was one devotee called Kanchipurna in Kanchipuram. So he was a Shudra family, born in Shudra family, but he was a pure devotee. Even Brahmanas would offer him namaskar. So once Ramanacharya gave him 6 questions, very, very serious, difficult questions in Sanskrit. So Kanchipurna is not very learned. He is only a pure devotee. So he just went and read out these questions to Varadaraja. Varadaraja gave answer, he noted it down and gave it to Ramanuja. That answer could be understood only by one person, which is Ramanujacharya. Ramacharya understood all the answers. So he was like, he acted as a postal peon. He just collected the question, gave it to Lord, and he was himself not very learned Pandita. He didn't understand what Lord said, but he took it from the Lord and gave it to him. He was a lover of God. That means Lord spoke to him. You can see that. Lord speaks to those who are in that stage. Right now we are in Jada Drishti we have. So we have to come to Manomaya Drishti, Chinmaya Drishti, then one can see. Like a child is looking at the currency note with Jada Drishti, therefore he's tearing it, putting in the mouth like this and spitting it out. He doesn't know. If the father sees, hey, 500 rupee note, he has torn to pieces. Isn't it? The child doesn't know anything more than that. Yeah, in fighting with another child, he will take the currency note and he'll tear it. He doesn't know anything beyond that. That's all he knows. But an intelligent person knows, hey, this currency note is valuable. It has tremendous value. It's authorized by the government. So in this way, one has to go from Jada Drishti to Manomaya Drishti to Chinmaya Drishti, one can see. So what you are seeing externally as material, eventually you will see it as completely spiritual. See Madhvacharya. Why I am showing this Madhvacharya worshipping Udupi Krishna, although I told you in the early part of the class that the Murti Puja is done by the neophytes. It's for the neophytes. Yes, it is done for the neophytes in the beginning stage, because when you bathe the deities, when you dress the deities, when you decorate the deities with ornaments, and when you do puja for the deities, bow down to deities, gradually by repeated association with the deity will gradually occupy your mind and purify your mind and heart, and eventually you will come to Manomaya Drishti. That is the goal for a neophyte. Like a mother, for example, picks up the child in the morning and she changes the diaper and she bathes the child, isn't it? She dresses the child, puts powder, she puts different type of, some days she puts a rubber band here, another day she puts a jata, different type of dress, sometimes a gopi dress, sometimes a modern frock, isn't it? But by doing all these things to the child, what happens? The child enters into her mind. Same way with the deities also. For neophytes, the deities help the neophytes to develop attachment over a period of time, affection for the Lord. Go from Jada Drishti to Manomaya Drishti and Chinmaya gradually. But for devotees, pure devotees like Madhvacharya and all, they are already having Chinmaya Drishti. The spiritual eyes tinged with salve of love. So they look at the deity as Sakshat Krishna. Like here you see Madhvacharya. When this one ship was coming from Dwaraka in the ocean, the ship was about to drown, and the owner of the ship was pleading for help. The Madhvacharya simply waved, because he's a Vayu, he's a Vayu incarnation, waved. Immediately the storm abated, and the ship came, and the man was ready to give anything to Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya said, I am a sannyasi, what do you want? You just give me the big chandan thing which you have, big lump of chandan. So when that chandan was kept, the chandan broke open. Out of it came this beautiful murti of Udupi Krishna. So when many people wanted to lift that murti and bring it to Madhvacharya, they could not even budge it 1 inch. It was so heavy. Then Pahlavans were brought to move it, and even they couldn't move it also. Then Madhvacharya told everybody to move aside, and he went and lifted like this, you see. He easily could lift. So because he is lifted by love, Lord was lifted by love of the Acharya. Then he brought and worshipped, and the big festival was celebrated. So you see all great Acharyas worshipping. You see Sripad Ramacharya worshipping Ranganath. Similarly, you find Sripad Shankaracharya worshipping Badrinath. And he established mathas in different places like Puri, in Badrinath and Rameshwaram, like the different places. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came running into the sanctum sanctorum of Jagannath, and he fell unconscious because Jagannath and Baladev are brothers, and Subhadra is their sister. So immediately he was remembering Vrindavan, Rajendra Nandan, with great affection. He cried tears, as you see here. So in this way, all the great acharyas have worshipped deity. It's not that only neophytes worship the deity. Great acharyas also worship deity, but they worship with love, and we worship for purification and development of devotion. For that we worship. This is Madhavendra Puri. See how Lord comes and speaks to his devotee. Sakshat Krishna came, the same Gopal, he came as a covered boy and came and gave him milk. And he drank it, and then when he was sleeping at night, he appeared in his dream and said, I am inside the bushes, please take me out. And then he put him on the top of Govardhan hill and worshipped. And 2 years, every single day, there was Annakut festival with thousands of offerings. That was Madhavendra Puri, celebrated festival in Vrindavan. So this is Kshir Chor Gopinath. One who stole kheer for Madhavendra Puri. This is in Ramuna, you will hear. So the deities have performed many pastimes. In fact, if you go to Google search about Jagannath Puri mysteries, you can put mysteries of Jagannath Puri. More than 25 mysteries you will hear. What mysteries the Lord Jagannath is performing. even today. For example, the flag in the top, it flies in opposite direction to the wind. Wind is moving like this, but flag is moving in the opposite side. So it is defeating the laws of science. Many things like that. Like they have, big pot, small pot, one pot like this. About 6 pots they keep. When you put fire, which one should cook first? Bottommost, but the top one is cooked first. You will see that. That only happens in Jagannath Puri. Like that, there are 20, 25 mysteries there. Jagannath Puri, you will hear that. And you can ask people connected to an airport. No aeroplane can fly over Jagannath Puri dome. You will hear that. Because the people say that the connection to the control room is lost if it flies over that. Nobody will fly. So there are many things like this. So when Lord is coming in this world in the deity form also, if He wants, He can manifest some mystery, some greatness. And in these pastimes which I told you now, here Lord is doing these things for His own devotee. Dealing with Madhavendra Puri, dealing with Acharyas, speaking to the great Vaishnavas. Now somebody may say, okay, you say God is speaking, why He doesn't speak to me? He should speak to everybody. So Prabhupada said, what is your qualification? Prabhupada asked, like if somebody says, why, if there is a prime minister in this country, let him come to Aravada jail and meet me. If a thief says like that, do you think immediately the Prime Minister has to take a helicopter and come and say, I am existing, please believe me? Do you think Prime Minister has to do that? Is he obliged to do that? This fellow is a rogue. He is actually put in the jail, already Aravada jail. He must have done some thievery or some criminal activities, put in the jail. Do you think Prime Minister, who is such a busy person, has to come here and salute him and say, sir, I am here? Is it necessary? But you have to qualify to see him. Say somebody does some great work for the country. Like Anna Hazare, for example. He wanted to make a corruption-free India. They call him second Gandhi. But even the first Gandhi, if you see our Gandhi, he was called the father of the nation, correct, no? So there are many people who have done great work for India. Then Prime Minister may want to meet them, correct? So imagine like you are a student in a school and you say that, if there is a headmaster in the school, let him come and meet me. All teachers will twist your ears. You want headmaster to come and meet you? But if you get state first, then he may be called to headmaster's room. See, if headmaster calls you to his room, can anybody stop him? See, he wants to see you, nobody can stop him. But you want to see him, that's not possible. Similarly, God wants to see you, can anybody stop him? No. Similarly, but if you want to see him, you can't demand him. You have to qualify first. Even now also, if any of you say that you have some very great cause, you want to meet Prime Minister of India, it is possible. But for that, first they will ask you, why do you want to meet? Kya kaam aapka pata hoga? What is it? What have you done till now? Why do you want to meet him? You have to submit a petition. It may take many months also. Many months, many years it may take to meet him. It's not that you just go. If it is so difficult to meet a Prime Minister of a country, how much more God is great, I told you in this class today. It's very easy to meet him. You can meet him only by qualifying yourself. Prabhupada said, what good is your eyes? Useless eyes, Prabhupada said. Why? Because without the sunlight or tube light, your eyes are good for nothing. For example, on a dark Amavasya day, can you see anybody? Because our eyes cannot see without the aid of external light. That means when you take help of sunlight, then only you can see anything. On a dark Amavasya day, if you are walking on the road, you will go and bump on somebody. And that fellow should, somebody shouts like that. Then you see the shining teeth, then you know somebody is there. And you will say, oh, sorry. Andha kya? You will say, you are actually andha only. Because in dark night, we cannot see anything. But with respect to God, it is said, God can see a black ant on a black stone on an Amavasya night. It is said, He can distinguish between the three. So powerful are His eyes in darkness also. So one should know the difference between the poor jiva and God. So, deity worship is an important process to purify our vision and to see Krishna's spiritual form with love. It's a tangible way to serve God directly, even in our conditioned present state, to gain attention and devotion in our devotion service. See, this is a wonderful family. They are worshipping the deity so beautifully. You will see how they have decorated, you see. Beautiful, no? That's amazing decoration. See here how they are decorated. So, when they decorate like this, see here Radharani is having big, what do you call this, laddu? Made of kurmara laddu, I think. Right, no? Sweet laddu it is, Rajgira Laddu. So, see, there's a big heap of that. So then hundreds of people will come to their house to see how beautifully decoration is done. So by seeing the decoration, their affection for the Lord will be enhanced. They will hear the pastimes, leelas of the Lord. They will sing bhajans, kirtans. They'll express their devotion. Now somebody may say, what is the point in simply keeping one doll and expressing a devotion? Is it not a blind faith or superstition? No, it's not. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is in the spiritual world. He only has expanded into these deity forms and is receiving the worship given by them. Yeah, it's not an ordinary thing. For example, if you keep your grandmother, grandfather's photo and worship or speak to them, they may not be able to hear because they have already gone to the next body and they are a child in some other family. They may not be able to receive it. Whereas is Krishna like that? No, because he is in every atom. He is in your own heart. He is in spiritual world. He is in material world. There is no place where he is not there. Therefore, if you keep even a picture of Krishna and you speak to him, your speech is being heard by Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada says, when she met Akrura, she cried loudly and told him, when he came to Hastinapur, she remembered Krishna immediately because Krishna only had sent him. He told Akrura, I have come, Krishna told me to see the situation of the Pandavas here in Hastinapur. That time she cried, hey Govinda, hey Gopal, like that she cried. So Prabhupada says in that place, Kunti was actually weeping and calling Krishna's names. But somebody may say, what is the use in calling Krishna's names? He's not there. He's not present there. Only Akrura is there. Instead of calling Govinda Krishna, you call Akrura, she can say, no? Why is she saying Krishna Govinda? Prabhupada says the reason is, although she is calling Krishna's name apparently in the absence of Krishna, Krishna is hearing her call. It's not a foolish cry. Because you see, Draupadi called, hey Krishna, hey Govinda, hey Gopijana Vallabha, hey Dwaraka Vasin. At that time he was in Dwaraka and Hastinapur is in Delhi. But Krishna heard or not? Heard. And immediately he manifested himself in Hastinapur Kaurav Sabha and then he gave unlimited sari to Draupadi. Is it not true? Similarly, Kunti is crying, but she is not crying foolishly. Krishna is hearing her prayer. So, like for example, one time we were walking in the road, we saw opposite side one man was coming talking to himself. And people, everybody amongst us, we were thinking that I think he's gone mad. But he's just talking loudly, waving the hand also. But when he came near, then one of the boys found out that he's having a Bluetooth. In the ears he's having Bluetooth and the phone is here. Just put it. That means he's connected or not? Is he crazy man or connected man? Similarly, Kunti is crazy or connected? He is connected to Bluetooth, she is connected to Blue Krishna. Isn't it? So, therefore one should know that even if somebody foolishly desecrates the deity's hand or leg, destroys the temple, God cannot be destroyed. In fact, this fellow will be destroyed. One who is doing that, he will go to hell for such an act, for such a sinful act, offensive act of developing hatred for the other jivas. They will have to suffer if somebody does that. See here, how beautifully decorated. See, amazing, no? Such a fine decorations. The smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotee as transcendental and spiritual, and the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. Devotees appreciate, hey, look at his turban, how beautiful he looks, how stylish he looks. See how he plays on the flute, see how he smiles, see how he stands in a pose with threefold bending form. So actually, we all have a nature to do hero worship. How many of you honestly tell me you were attracted to some cinema actor or actress before coming to ISKCON? Raise your hand. Yeah, see, practically almost everybody. Some of them are shy, no problem. We know, heart of hearts you were attracted. But therefore, we have a tendency for hero worship. So, if the tendency is there, why not worship the actual hero, the supreme hero? Thank you. Nayakanam Shiro Ratnam, Krishna's Bhagavan Swami, it is said, the supreme hero amongst all heroes. Other heroes become zeros in this material world. They are hero only for a while. Even cricketers, or political heroes, or cinema stars. Correct, no? Can they be heroes forever? Eventually they get old. They can't play cricket the way they played before. Political people get off the post. Even Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, they all lost their strength as they grew older. But Krishna is one God whose strength never wears off. Even though in Kurukshetra battlefield he was 125 years he had spent in the planet, he looked like a 16-year-old boy. Makes the time span doesn't make any effect on him. Yeah, these things I told you. So what are the benefits of worshipping the Murti? Saves from hellish attraction. When the Lord is decorated with beautiful dress, and then you hear the Srimad Bhagavatam class instructions, and there is a beautiful Sankirtan, you hear, it can save the man from hellish cinema attractions and rubbish sex songs broadcast everywhere. Correct, no? Most of the college students nowadays are after sex songs and rock music and everything. But you become a devotee, you hear sweet songs of Krishna. So this is purifying and the other one is putrefying, isn't it? Yeah. And also the temple, when you come, there is a great sugandha of the chandan, the fragrant flowers offered to the deities, abhishekam being done, prasadam being served, nice devotional music. It's all uplifting experience. Infuses mundane mind with spiritual inspiration. And the subtle body becomes sanctified when the Lord is dressed. This is Krishna and the 5 Patranis of Dwaraka. Yeah. Our mundane mind becomes spiritualized mind when you come to the temple. Yeah, and it's a good engagement for the gross body also. Because for the Archana of the Lord, if you have to do worship of the deities, some people have difficulty in doing this chamar. It's a good activity. The engagement for the body. Yeah. Otherwise, the hand which is not serving the Lord will be carrying a liquor bottle. Isn't it? Or cigarette. Instead of that, you do chamar for the Lord. One fellow became a devotee. So he used to come to the kitchen and he used to stir the sweet rice, and stir the rice and wash big patelas. So devotees asked, what is your inspiration? He said, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I used to beat up people. He said, I have a lot of energy. Now I am using the energy in washing the big vessels, stirring the sweet rice, cooking and everything. So he is using energy in a positive way, and that is becoming divine now, spiritualized. Otherwise he'll be beating up people unnecessarily. Right now? Yeah, it purifies our existence, our heart. And it relieves from sense agitation. Yeah. If we put our loving propensity on Krishna, it relieves us of kama, krodha, lobha and all these things. And it gives us constant remembrance of the Lord. And very soon we can go back to Godhead. Yeah, we get liberated actually by seeing the Lord at the temple. So the rasa means love for God is awakened. Just like we have love for mother and father. In the same manner, every jiva has love for God. By worshipping the deity, the love for God is awakened. See, Vedanta Sutra already explained, to understand God, this also explained. Worship of God in a human form. Actually, some people say, you guys, like one Swami in India spoke up, he said, if dogs were to make a God, they will make one dog into God. If cats were to make a God, they will make one big cat into God. Similarly, humans want to have a God. They have made one human being into God. Everybody said, very good, they were saying, in his times. Later on, when Prabhupada explained it from Vaishnava philosophy, he said, this Swami thought he is very intelligent, but he is foolish. Why is he foolish? Prabhupada explained, because God is not made by us. In fact, God made us. We don't make God. For example, if a child is going to school and the school child is weeping, and teacher is asking, hey, why are you weeping? I am remembering my mother and father, if he is saying. So teacher says, hey, why are you creating mother and father on your own? Don't imagine any mother and father. Your mother and father is impersonal, they don't exist. Somebody says, child will say, teacher, you're foolish. My affection for my mother and father is natural. In fact, I am not creating them, they created me. Correct, no? Similarly, if you see the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is one section which it says that God created all the 8.4 million species, but he was not satisfied. He saw that all are dull creatures, like the reptiles, like the animals, like the aquatics, like the birds. He thought they are dull animals, they can't realize me. So I will create one particular form in which the jiva can realize me. And what is that form? Human form. So at that time, Krishna made the man like him, and he made a woman like Radharani. Male form and female form. He made, that's mentioned there. So God, therefore it is said, God made man in his own image. This is from Bible. Bible says that God made man in his own image. So God has a beautiful form. And he has made man in his image. So God is like the template. And we are like the painting done from the template. You know what is template? A stencil, you know that, right? Yeah, God is like the stencil from which our form is made. Not that we have made God like a human. Eternally, God exists in that human-like form, 200 form, so that all of us can relate with him. Of course, as Vishnu, he exists with 400 form. Correct, no? So, in this way, we are not giving any form to God. God has given us our forms. We should remember that. See, this is from Bible, Exodus. Under his feet, inscribed with finger of God, hand of the Lord, ears of the Lord. How can somebody have ears, hand, finger, feet, eyes and everything and you say he's impersonal? It is simply ridiculous, isn't it? You see, this is all quoted from the scripture, Bible. Similarly, you see, the eyes of the Lord. Here he says, you see, Genesis says that. Ezekiel says God as having the semblance of a human form. Man is made in the image of God. It is said, yeah. So in Bible, they call father as Abba, they call. Abba means father. That father is a person. He has a form. But what is his form? Spiritual form. His form is not material. His form is spiritual. Yet it is a form. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Sam Anusmaredya Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varanam Tamasapparastat. Krishna is telling, how should you worship God? Kavim, the most learned person, most intelligent person, Agada Bodham. His intelligence is oceanic. Like that one should think about God. It is reality. We are not just imagining. It's a fact actually. You can imagine, even by looking at certain people, intelligent people in this world, we can understand that God has created so many intelligent people. How much more intelligent he must be. Kavim. Puranam means he is the oldest. That doesn't mean he has a long flowing beard, poor fellow, his teeth are gone, he's the old man. No. He is Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavanam cha. He is always young like a 16-year-old boy. So he is Kavim Puranam. Anushasitaram means he is the order giver or he is the controller of everything. Anushasitaram. Anor Aniyamsam. He is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Like you go to Google search and put cosmic eye. You put, there is a video. Cosmic eye, if you put. They show you smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Go to micro, so much so that beyond certain limit you cannot go below that. Then they show macro. Beyond that you cannot study in science. They show, so God is, Aniyor Aniyan, Mahato, Mahyan. Both he has created. That is power. So he's saying, Kavim Puranam, Anushasitaram, Anor Aniyamsam, Anusmared. This is how you should think of him. Sarvasya Dhataram. He is the holding everything. Millions of universes are created by him and sustained by him. Millions of jivas are created by him and they are given food by him. No scientist is giving us food. Although they may be giving you smartphones. They give you smartphone, laptops. They can give you aeroplanes. But can they give you grains? Can they give you fruits? Can they give you potable water? But who is giving it? The Creator is giving it. He creates jivas and provides for their maintenance also. Anoraniyamsam Anusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam. He is inconceivable because his eyes, hands, legs, I told you, they cannot be conceived. But Rupam. Yet he has a form. It doesn't say, he is Achintya Nirakaram. It doesn't say. It says Achintya Rupam. He has a Swarupa. He is ultimately a person only. He is not impersonal. Aditya Varanam. His body is shining like sun, glowing. Tamasa Parastat. He exists beyond the ignorance of this world. Ignorant people cannot understand him. Only enlightened one can see him, understand him. So therefore he is a person. See, this is from Quran. Translated by Muhammad Taqi Uddin Al-Ilahi and Dr. Muhammad Munsin Khan, which is approved by the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Saudi Arabia, and published all over the world by the Saudi Kingdom for free distribution of Quran through their embassies in different countries. Also, we have used the most authentic book of Hadith, they call it, Sahih al-Bukhari, denial of which drives a Muslim out of the pale of Islam, which means if somebody doesn't accept this Quran, he cannot be counted as a Muslim. It is incumbent upon every person who claims to be a Muslim to believe in the Quran and the authentic Hadith. Now, based on this Quran, I am going to show you something in the next slide. Why are we establishing the authenticity? There are so many people who claim that, according to Quran, this fellow is a kafir, you kill him. Anybody who's not a Muslim should be killed. They are coming up with things like that. Correct, no? Similarly, they think you can do this, you can do that. Now you can see, they say God has no form, so people are worshipping God's form, so we will destroy the temples. Like that they say. Here you see, this Quran, what it says. See, face of Allah is quoted here. Eyes of Allah, foot of Allah, hands of Allah, finger of Allah, throne of Allah, laughter of Allah. See, by reading all these things, does God look like an impersonal entity or a person? You have any doubt about it? Somebody has a face, he has eyes, he has feet, he has hands. What more you want? He's a person. And this is based on the authentic Quran. And see, it says here, he will keep on invoking Allah till Allah will laugh because of his sayings. When Allah will laugh because of him, he will say unto him, enter paradise. And when he will enter it, Allah will say to him, wish for anything. So he will ask his Lord, and he will wish for a great number of things. For Allah himself will remind him to wish for certain things by saying, like that it goes on. That means Allah is speaking to the jiva. Correct, no? And Allah will smile also. So how can somebody smile without a form? Isn't it? So this is from, there is one very famous proponent of Islam who always will say Pratima, Pratima, one thing he will quote, from the Vedas he will quote one this thing, yeah. See, when Vedas say God has no form like you and me, I explain to you what it means. If somebody thinks that, oh, God also has a form, he is also limited like me, he has also 2 hands, 2 legs like me, he is not like you. His hands, legs are not like you. His eyes and navel are not like you. So therefore you will find Arupa Yoru Rupaya Nama Ashcharya Karmini. This is by Gajendra. Gajendra says, Arupa first he says. And God doesn't have a form, he says. Uru Rupaya means God has many, many forms, he says. What is this contradiction? First he says no form, then he says many forms. Yes, he doesn't have a form like you, but he has many, many spiritual forms. Like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha. There are many, many forms. When God comes as a Varaha, he is not like ordinary pig in the ditch. When he comes as Varaha, his eyes are like lotus petals. The water sprinkled from his body is like rose-scented waters. So that's the point. See here, image of Allah is mentioned there. We were sitting with the Prophet and he looked at the moon on the night of the full moon and said, you people will see your Lord as you see this full moon, and you will have no trouble in seeing him. See, this is quoted from also Quran. And then the Prophet said, Allah created Adam in his complete shape and form directly, 60 cubits, about 30 meters in height. When he created him, he said to him, go and greet that group of angels. That means God is ordering the jiva. Correct, huh? So in Bhagavatam there is a well-elaborated explanation about God, which you know. Yeah. Like for example, Christians also worship the cross. As soon as they see cross, what they remember? Jesus, who was sacrificed on the cross for the sake of upholding the truth. Similarly, if somebody may say, we don't believe in personality, they worship the crescent moon and the star also, correct, no? As you see here. So symbols are there, you cannot deny. For example, Sikh people, Sikhs, they worship the Guru Granth Sahib, correct, no? You will see they keep it on a elevated place, and they have a palanquin inside which they keep it. They shower flowers, they sing kirtans, they go on procession, they dance also. So ultimately it's personal worship only, correct? Now who can say they are not doing it? Correct? Yeah. 2 extremes, impersonalism and pantheism. After many births and deaths, he who is actually knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes. Such a great source is very rare. The Bhagavad Gita says here. Yeah, Lord comes as a deity form. This I told you already. Yeah, we cannot put any box and put our postal letters. It will not go. Therefore, the Murti has to be made according to the description given in the scriptures. Then it is like authorized post box. Correct, no? Yeah. Sanction versus speculation. Sometimes children have a 1,000 rupee note. You've seen that? You get it in 10 paisa in the market. So is it valuable? That is ordinary. That's a fake note. And the real note versus fake note. Similarly, the real deity is authorized according to scriptures. In this material world, I told you, material forms are entangling. Like man attracted to woman or a car, it's entangling. Whereas spiritual forms are liberating. You become attracted to Krishna, it will liberate you. You become attracted to opposite sex, it will entangle you. Yeah, Prana Pratishtha ceremony. Srimad Bhagavatam, verse number is given, 11, 27, 12. The materials from which the deity can be made. Stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, mind, or jewels. With all these things. Lord in the Archamurti form made of material elements is not material. For those elements, although separated from the Lord, are also part of the Lord's energy. It's Lord's material energy, correct, no? Yeah, I said in Bhagavad Gita, because the elements are the Lord's own energy, and because there is no difference between the energy and energetic, the Lord can appear through any element, just as the sun can act through the sunshine, and thus distribute its heat and light. So God, by His inconceivable power, can appear in His original spiritual form in any material element, including stone, wood, paint, silver, jewels, and any of these things. For example, Narasimhadev appeared from where? From pillar. Pillar just broke open and he jumped out. That means Lord can appear even from a pillar if He wants. Sometimes we think it's ordinary pillar. From that He came, Narasimha came. And similarly, Varahadev came from the nose of Brahma. One day Brahma and Chatush Kumaras and Devatas were talking. These two demons are appearing in this world, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, who will kill them and what will happen? We are all worried. Suddenly, from the nose of Brahma, like that something came. See, something comes from our nose, where it goes? It goes to the dustbin. Correct? And then you have to wash your hand with soap. Whereas, when Varahadeva came in a small version from Brahma's nose, he grew in size. Then he grew fist size. Then he grew this size. Then he grew elephant size. Then mountain size. Then he went down and went up, flew up. And all of them, even Brahma couldn't ascertain who he was. See, Brahma with 4 heads is not able to understand. What can we understand with 1 head? Think about it. You're wondering, what is this Varaha boar? So somebody was thinking, is it demon? Is it demigod? Then somebody said, hey, he has eyes like lotus petals. Only one person has eyes like that. Who is that? Lord Vishnu. He has eyes like lotus petals. At that time, Varaha was surprised. You guys don't know who I am? Then from the hairs of his body, he sprinkled water. So at that time, when he sprinkled that water, all the Brahmanas, the sages, the Devatas who were all standing, Vidunvata Vedamayam Nijam Vapur. How many times have you? Janastapa Satyanivasino Vayam Shatashikoddhuta Shivambu Bindubhir Vimrajyamana Brishamisha Pavita. See what they are saying. This is Brahmanas are praying. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planet, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, which is beyond Swargalokas also. But still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by shaking of your body. Like that they are praying to whom? Varahadev. Imagine you're walking in the road, a pig is shaking its body. And all the gutter water is coming on your body, on face. What will you do? You will run to your home and take a shower bath. Correct, no? Whereas here, when Varahadev is sprinkling water on the body of the Devatas and Brahmanas and everybody, they are feeling fragrance like rose-scented waters. This is the meaning of Lord. You see? We can't treat him like ordinary pig or something. This is a flag code I told you. See? The Indian national flag should always occupy a position of honor, should be distinctly placed in any setting. When flown over public buildings, the national flag should be flown from sunrise to sunset only. The flag should always be hoisted at a brisk pace and lowered slowly. The saffron band must always be displayed the topmost band or the right band, he says. It's an offense to display the flag in an inverted position. See, you can't do that. The display of damaged or deshelled flag is also an offense. National flag should not be dipped on any occasion. National flag of India should not be used as a festoon or a decoration or allowed to touch the ground. See? It is not to be used as an advertisement, garment or wrap of any sort. It cannot be torn, damaged, burnt, or disrespected in any manner. The disposal of a flag should be done as a whole, in private, preferably by burning. It is also an offense. So we call it as a sometimes nirmalya. We call it now. We put it in water or fire. We have some etiquette for that. Similarly, it's also an offense to draw or deface the flag with any inscription or graffiti. Then we can't write anything else on the flag. The Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act 1971 lays down the punishments meted out in case of any disrespect to the flag. The first offense shall attract a prison term up to 3 years and a fine also along with that. Subsequent offenses will be punished with imprisonment for at least 1 year. See? So you may say it's just a cloth. No, you may think, but the cloth represents the whole nation. You can understand. Thank you, Sri Prabhupada ki.